Welcome to the Season 1 finale of First Look Gnomes, Episode 13. And now your hosts at the bottom of the garden.
Welcome to Episode 14!
14?
14!
I thought this was Episode 13.
Well, I didn't want to affect some listeners. So there's a fear of the number 13, Mr. Hodgkiss.
Oh, okay.
Also known as Triskaidekaphobia.
I beg your pardon?
Triskaidekaphobia.
Bless you.
So according to, for instance, the Otis Elevator Company in the US of A, between 80 to 90% of elevators it has installed in skyscrapers and large hotels do not have a 13th floor.
Wow.
And also, so at the Last Supper, Judas was the 13th guest. In Norse mythology, Loki crashed a banquet of a dozen gods as the 13th partygoer, and he killed someone with a poison arrow. In many old stories, 3 might be a crowd, but 13 turns tragic. I can't pronounce my THs, so that's another reason why 13 shouldn't be used. There was the famous Apollo failure is not an option 13 lunar mission, which wasn't the most successful trip to space.
Good film, though. Great film.
And in a tarot deck, the 13th card is death. Death.
What, we couldn't hear?
Death.
Sorry, Williams. You did just say, like, I can't pronounce my TH, so I'm going to take the mickey, because that's what mates
that's
do.
why it's episode 14. Also,
episode 14.
So in the, I don't know when, but in the modern world, particularly in France, well, semi-modern world,
Ooh la la.
where there's 13 guests on an invitation list for whatever reason, a 14th guest is hurried in, and these people are called quatorzes. Might be pronouncing that wrong.
Say it in a French accent, Williams.
Quatorzes.
Oh, quatorzes.
Quatorzes.
Oh,
So you have a job as a quatorzes.
A quatorzes.
So if you're a quatorzes, they're like, oh, Mr. Hodgkiss, he's got a dinner party. He's
Wait, hang on, stop. No. What's he saying? French accent only, please.
Monsieur Hodgkiss, he's invited 12 peoples. And 12 passants.
Oh, passant.
And but because he's invited 12 passants, avec himself, unlucky. So this quatorze person,
unlucky.
so this quatorze person is hiding. Bish bash bosh. In you go, lovely jabbly.
Lovely jabbly. Avid.
Oui bien. So that's a job. So it's a job to be the 14th person, just to turn up and sit in that 14th chair. So
what
you
a
haven't
job
got the
that
unlucky
is.
13. So that's a quatorze. I might be pronouncing it entirely wrong. But then also on the plus side, in the UK, if you want to get a house on the, well, not on the cheap, but save a bit of moolah, on average, houses with the number 13 cost 3% less.
That's some statistic, that is, Williams. Fact. You heard it here first. Forget Martin Lewis and his money-saving experts. Buy a number 13 house.
Anyways, it's getting quite late at the bottom of the garden.
So episode 14, not 13.
Let's crack on. It's episode 14. Well, it's 13, but it's 14 for those that have Triskaidekaphobia.
Ooh. And should we tell viewers that this is the end of season special?
Because lots of things are changing.
There's lots of things are changing. Things are changing. Shall I run through a few things that are changing?
Yeah, insert changing music.
So, that just leads me to a really random thing that we saw this week that made me pee myself laughing. If anybody's looking for something really funny, Google David Bowie and Mick Jagger dancing in the street with no music. It's one of the funniest. So somebody has that video of Mick Jagger and David Bowie doing Dancing in the Street. When you when you take away the music and someone inserts just imagine there was no actual music playing, it's honest to goodness, there's very few things that make me laugh apart from you talking about your teeth. There are very few things that make me burst my giggle bank, but when I watch that, I burst my giggle bank. So just Google that, listeners, and you will enjoy. There'll be 30 seconds of pure joy.
Like Miss Hodges was about to say, I think this is the last in the season, but don't worry, I think we'll be back with season 2. If you've got any ideas for any new features or anything you like or don't like, email in to firstlookgnomes@outlook.com or send us a little message on the old Insta. Or send a letter to Mr. Hodgkiss at his address, which is...
well, actually, that's one of the things that's changing. So this is the last podcast we're doing. I don't think that was intended segue, but good segue, Wells. This is the last podcast in said apartment that we have mentioned plenty of times in Northern Ireland. We are moving house soon. So a peek behind the curtain, listeners. So Williams... he records this podcast in what he calls his shoffice, which is his shared office. I have been recording this podcast in my kitchen because, why wouldn't you? But soon he's got a shoffice. I'm going to have a loft office, ladies and gentlemen. So we will, hopefully it won't be quite so echoey when I talk. There'll be less dog movement in the background. And yeah, it's the end of the season, and it's also the 1 year anniversary.
It's a new era.
It is the start of a new era. So we've been making these podcasts now for a whole year, which is
crazy,
quite mental, really, to think that we've been doing it for a year. But it's been good fun. And Williams, I've got a surprise for you. I've got a surprise for you, Mr. Williams. So not only is this the end of season 1, but it's not the end, Williams.
It's just the beginning.
It's just the start. It's just the beginning. So we are now, would you believe it, the owners of firstlookgnomes.com.
Ah, that's exciting.
And firstlookgnomes.co.uk.
As well as?
So, comment as well. We've got both.
International.
So, I'm gonna use my skills, and I'm gonna make a First Look Gnomes website.
Yeah. If there's anything that will tickle your earbuds, let us know.
Indeed. So coming soon, season 2, firstlookgnomes.com. All new First Gnomes, bigger, better, improved, exactly the same shit that you listen to now. And by the next time you listen to us, listeners, we'll have actually been reunited. So you may think that Williams and me see each other all the time, but as we've talked about in many previous episodes, I'm in Northern Ireland, he's in the southwest of England, which is just an absolute pain in the backside to get to. So because of the pandemic that's been on as well, we were trying to discuss before this podcast, when was the last time we saw each other? And it was 4 years ago. So by the next time you see us, we are, my family, my good wife, my child and myself are going down to Cornwall to spend 3 days with Mr. Williams, his lovely fiance, and their beautiful, not quite so new baby boy Logan. And we will record in season 2, episode 1. We will let you know what we got up to.
I'm sure there'll be some snippets.
There will be some snippets.
Occasion.
But no, so end of season 1, 1 year done, 1 year in. Bring on season 2. Hope you enjoy this episode, listeners. Good. And we also have coming up soon a special guest from America joining us.
America.
We are yet to sort out a date, but we have somebody who is desperate to get on the podcast. Exciting stuff happening in the world of gnomes.
An internationally famous superstar will be joining us next season. I don't know if I exaggerated that. I don't know. She was in Forbes magazine. Was she?
Yeah, she was recently featured, and she's going to be featured in Forbes again.
Well, there you go. Watch
there
out.
You go. Season 2, brought to you by Forbes, where people do stuff that's very important. Forbes.
So let's firstly, it's the firsty first. So
very important.
This is the new
can we just recap?
We can recap. Well, you can recap for me.
So the first one was a Prince beer called, I want to say it was called Purple Rain or Purple Coat or Prince or Symbol or something.
It should be a page on the website.
Well, if we had a website, Williams, which we will soon, listeners, then we would be able to have a look and refresh our memory.
Also, I imagine from the feedback for new features for season 2 would be to drop this feature, but we shall see.
No, because last episode, which we talked when you tried slag, apparently because of your repetitive use of the word slag, people.
It was called slag, though.
It was called slag, yes, but some people found that amusing. Other people's may not have, but you know,
we're going to down it for this episode. Not down it.
Let's have it. Just going to. For the next 30 seconds, all you will hear is Williams gulping beer.
Down it. No, so before we head down to the fish pond feedback, my thirsty first. So today I'm drinking. It's from Good Brewing Company.
Good spelled G-O-O-D-H.
G-O-O-D-H Brewing Company. It's called Joe.
Oh.
So we've moved from
Joe.
slag to Joe. So I'm drinking. I'm supping on Joe this evening. It's a coffee stout.
Joe with an E, by the way.
5.8% alcohol volume. Now, to me, this reminds me of a certain brand. I don't know if it does to you.
It looks, ladies and gentlemen, like Starbucks.
It does. So I think they've written the name Joe on like you would on a Starbucks cup. I presume that's because it's a coffee stout.
Well, I mean, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it, to be honest?
So, and it's a nice silver can, very basic label, and it's...
You're really selling it, Williams, you're really selling it.
And it should be better than the last 2 beers I had. Basic ingredients are water, barley, oats, wheat, hops, yeast, and coffee. So there you go. So
a coffee beer containing barley water, oats, yeast, and coffee. Shocking.
So I'm just going to clean my pint glass there, and then here we go.
Oh, good sounding can, strong sounding can. That sounds like a 5.8%.
It's a stout colour, which is no surprise.
Did you expect it to be a lager colour?
This content is absolute gold.
It is. No, it's not. It's stout.
Hey!
Hey!
There we go.
That's it. Make sure you've got it all. That's like the McDonald's advert. Or what's the advert when it's like you want to make sure you got your money's worth?
I don't know.
Yeah, McDonald's, yeah. That was you, Williams, just then.
The smell is much better than the slag from the last episode. It's a nice coffee smell. So, cheers.
Cracking colour. Looks like a Guinness.
Ooh,
what's the verdict?
That's a nice beer. It's a coffee stout. That's actually a nice one. Lovely. Very good. Cheers.
Well done, Joe. Well done, the Good Brewing
Joe.
Company.
So I've got my Joe. Grab your Joe. Socialist.
Can I just, what we're talking about beer, Williams, because most podcasts we do, I'm usually drinking Maggie's Leap from the Whitewater Brewing Co. And I mean, eventually, they're going to have to send us some free beer.
So. If you keep mentioning them. Well, actually, if you keep mentioning them, they're not going to pay any money, are they? Or give you anything.
Well, they do make great beer. The Whitewater Brewing Company. Maggie's Leap. Maggie's Leap. I also like the Belfast Lager, but they are in Castlewellan in Northern Ireland. Great place, beautiful place to visit. The brewery itself, I've been to the brewery. The brewery's fantastic.
Not, so that could be a first look for me on the next visit.
Well, when you come over, I'll take you to the brewery. We'll do a beer and gin. There's a lovely distillery called Hinch, which is opened. There's Copeland Gin. There's the Whitewater Brewing Company's distillery. We'll just go and we'll spend a weekend not driving because we'll be drunk, going around, getting taxis between breweries and distilleries across the north of Ireland.
That sounds like a good new season episode.
Sounds good to me.
So grab your Joe. Grab Joe's rod. And let's head to the fish pod of feedback. So we had a message in from one of our regular listeners. And it goes, "Dear Poddington Peas, my insomnia struck again last night, so I listened to episode 12. I loved the whole episode. And today I made a point of Googling Craigie Hill bonfire. Wowzers, incredible. Thanks, Craig. Thanks, Craig, for an enlightening first look. As for my STBSIL, which means soon to be son-in-law, and his comment about teeth, I was giggling so hard I almost woke up Mike. Look forward to meeting you, Craig, and see you, Spoon Dan. That's
Spoon?
Spoon. Yes, Spoon. See Spoon.
See you, Spoon Dan.
So that's obviously from the future mother-in-law.
No, that's from Spoon. Yes, what a legend.
Top listener.
Oh, what a woman. I can't wait. She's very kindly offered me a lift as well. Thank you very much for the offer of a lift. We are grateful for that.
A lift?
A lift?
Not an elevator.
Not an elevator, no. A lift.
Yeah. I'm actually. Well, we spoke about elevators earlier with the unlucky 13th floor.
Oh yes.
But I'm absolutely terrified of elevators.
No, really?
So I'm gonna, So I'm gonna start taking steps to avoid them.
You idiot! Flip me. Every time. I genuinely thought you were scared. I thought, oh bloody hell, poor man. That's one of those weird focus. Nope, it's a bad joke.
Anyways, in terms of other top listeners, the fiance, she loved the episode, so that's good. But she actually put a special request in. There's another a request for the new season. She's actually put a special request in for me and you to do a bedtime stories episode.
A bedtime stories episode.
So at some point we're going to do a bedtime stories podcast.
Sure, why not? What would you read though? What would be your book of choice?
Oh well, the latest good one, which we had a first look at, was what's it called? The Blue Badger or Badger Blue or something like that. Blue Badger.
Oh, that's a new one to me. That is.
And it's plot twist. So basically, this Blue Badger, he loves eating blueberries.
Wait! You can't.
Spoilers, sorry.
Spoilers? Come on.
It's a good, well recommended Blue Badger. I might read that one on our special bedtime stories episode.
If Sue's suffering from insomnia.
Oh yeah. We'll do a special bedtime stories episode.
Yes.
Well, have a little chat beforehand, a few beers, and then we'll do our bedtime stories.
We'll just do some stories. We'll have to look at the kind of copyright laws around doing that. Because I don't.
But I think people.
You know what we could do though?
What's that?
We should write a bedtime story ourselves. About the first look gnomes. Yeah, and about the bottom of the garden.
Sounds like a lot of extra work, but if that's what the fans want.
No, Williams. Go back to episode 6, ChatGPT. Write a bedtime story about two gnomes at the bottom of the garden who drink too much beer.
I'll cut this out. No.
Come on, put your best. You ready? Best bedtime voices. Once upon a time, at the bottom of the garden.
Would we say at the same time, or would we have different characters each?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Anyways, that's next season.
You were serious.
That's next season. So swiftly moving on. I left you on a riddle. Last episode.
No, hang on. Was this one of the ones that was a riddle, or was this another dad joke?
It's a riddle.
Okay, go on then. I can't remember.
So what do you get if you cross a snake with a pie?
And this is something you told us before.
And that was, or basically a snake does humpy American Pie style.
Oh, I remember. Yes,
pie. That was a riddle. Any ideas?
And Cobra Pie. I don't know.
A python.
A pie. Oh dear. So it wasn't a riddle at all. It was another dad joke.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, you're gonna have to do proper riddles soon. You're gonna get done for mis-selling.
Yeah. Interesting facts that came in. So some babies, and this is very rare, and this would scare the life out of me. Some babies are born with a full set of teeth.
Wow!
Could you imagine?
That's intimidating for any new mom who's breastfeeding.
Well, yes, especially. But I couldn't imagine. Can you imagine just?
Yeah, your baby comes out of... your baby arrives and just smiles at you. He's got a full set of gnashes. But you know what, though? It'd be good, because you know what will happen? The baby will realise these aren't my forever teeth. They're coming later down the line. And when they do come, how they will ponder. How they will ponder. Listeners, go back and listen to where Williams talks absolute truthful about
episode 12. Season
funny episode.
I had a bit of negative feedback about my puns being awful.
They are awful. That's not negative feedback, that's fact.
Well, yeah, I think that's from you, actually. But, so I entered, 10 of my best puns into a competition.
You entered what?
Well,
you entered 10 puns into a competition?
10 puns into a competition thing, just to see, which one won. But no pun intended.
Right.
Anyways.
I'm going to stop now. Because I thought again. I genuinely thought again. That's the kind of thing. Do you know what's worrying? That is the kind of thing you would do, though. What has your week been? I actually just entered this competition where I thought about 10 puns to see what one would win. Why? Well, why not?
Yeah,
I had a quiet hour where I could have been doing something important, but I thought I'm thinking 10 puns. So Williams, you tricked me. Do you know why? Because I believe it's the kind of shit you would do. So I don't know if that says more about me being stupid or my expectations of what you do in your spare time. Either way, season 2 listeners, I'm going to try not to fall for as many of these traps to tell me a terrible dad joke as he currently does. Can't promise I won't fall into them.
Either way. New listeners, Mr. Hodgkiss, new listeners.
There are actually still new listeners
coming into this podcast. New listeners coming in.
Well,
from
goodness.
Washington, District of Columbia.
Washington DC.
Washington District of Columbia. Is that Washington DC? Yeah, it must be. Yeah, because it is.
You've got Washington State in the
Washington District of Columbia. That's Washington DC, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm assuming
that could be the president.
So, wow, Joe Biden listens to our podcast. So, are you telling me that Joe Biden listens to First Look Gnomes?
No, I'm saying it could be.
Well, you know what though? Joe Biden has sleep apnea.
Well, there you go.
We have talked plenty about sleep apnea. He got pulled up the other day, didn't he? Because he had like a mask. He had mask mark on his face.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Joe Biden has sleep apnea. So, Joe, you're one of us. You're one of the sleep apnea crew. You're welcome,
If you'd be interested in a bedtime story,
Mr. President,
and we'll make it happen, Mr. President.
You know what, Williams? If we do not include the President of the United States in our bedtime story, Mr. President and the Poddington podcasters. Oh, what story is it going to be? No, Williams.
The Poddington thing. What we should have been called. That's a brilliant name, but we're not. So.
Well, that would have also been plagiarism, though. We can't just rip off some cartoon from the 90s.
Well, maybe, yeah. Another new listener from
welcome, Joe.
Decatur, Georgia.
I beg your pardon?
Never heard of it. Decatur.
Decatur.
In the state of Georgia. In the state of Georgia.
Hello, Georgia.
Popular in America. I like this one. Fargo in North Dakota.
Oh, very nice.
Only because I quite liked it. I've only actually watched the first series, but I quite enjoyed Fargo. Good TV series. A place which looks like it rains a lot. A place called Wetter, Wetter, in North Rhine-Westphalia.
Is that in America as well?
I don't know. No, it can't be. North Rhine-Westphalia. Don't know.
Well, I mean, it's got north and west in the same thing. I mean, goodness knows.
Yeah,
you'd imagine it's the northwest, but
it's somewhere wet in the north or west.
Vancouver.
Northwest. Who knows? Dixon in Illinois.
Hello, Illinois.
And this one might be your neck of the woods. It sounds like Newton Ards in North Down.
No. Someone's listening to our podcast in Newton Ards.
Is that? Sounds like yours.
Well, yeah, it is. Oh, you know who that'll be?
Is it you?
No, I know exactly who that is. That's my mother. Yeah.
Is it?
That's
on the old Alexa?
I was thinking there's no one in Newton's listening to this drivel. Yeah, there is. She's called Bob, and she's my mother. Hello, Mom.
And that's the, that's the fish pond.
Again, for anybody who's listened to this podcast before, my mum won't hear that because she'll be fast forwarding through.
If you're still listening, hello, Craig's mum.
So, before we, I know we've delayed the first looks here, but I want to backtrack. I want to give the listeners a peek behind the curtain.
Ooh, peek behind the curtain.
You know, this is what all the kids do. They
insert sound effect.
Yeah, they let the people in. They do. They want to know, how is this podcast recorded? What happens? How does this wonderful piece of audio gold reach my ears? Well, usually, listeners, what happens is we before we plan this, about a day before, whenever will text me and say, "Do you want a pod?" Okay, yeah, I'm free this Friday. Yeah, let's make a pod. That's fine. And what that generally means is, I don't think about the pod. I think, right, that means I can get some beer. What beer should I get? And as discussed 20 minutes ago, it's usually
this Joe is lovely, by the way. This is a lovely Joe.
It is a lovely Joe. I have some friend. I'm going to tell my friend Joe about this lovely podcast.
Yeah.
So that's usually how these things come to be. We just decide, let's do it. So
it's brewed in Cornwall. Sorry.
Oh, is it brewed in Cornwall?
It's brewed in Cornwall. There we go.
Oh, that's why you like it then.
Yeah. Very good.
Well, we will put the new pictures on the website. Firstlookgnomes.com, coming soon. So, just to give you a peek behind the curtain, listeners. Before we actually start recording the podcast, it's usually the first time we chat and get together and talk since the last podcast, because we have kids, we have lives, etc. So I want to circle back. William was telling me about something, and I thought, no, William, you can't talk about it here. You need to talk about it in the podcast. So someone Dan knows recently had to have their ears surrounded. They've been suffering with sore ear. So I was like, I wonder how they actually do that. And he said to me, well, you have to, when you actually have your ear syringe, did you know you can't have them done too often because your ear needs wax? I said, oh, that's interesting. And he said,
that's interesting.
And then, do you know what he said after that? He said, it's a bit like colonic irrigation.
No, I don't.
Well, it was pretty much. I said it's a weird thing. I said, like, having your ears cleaned one thing, but we got onto the subject of colonic irrigation. And then William started telling me some interesting facts about colonic irrigation, and I said, Williams, put it on the pod. We talk enough shit on the podcast. We might as well actually literally talk about poop. So, can you explain to me, Williams, what you were saying about colonic? Can you remember this, by the way? It was a while ago.
I can, yeah. So, I was talking about a wax removal, and I was saying how actually you do need some wax. So, wax is a good thing. So, wax does help your ears from stopping to get ear infection or whatever. If you're an ear specialist, please write in and correct me.
We'd love to hear from you.
So, same with your colon.
Your what?
Your colon.
You sounded like a doctor there. Colon.
Colon. Which leads to your other areas.
Your bowel.
Your bowel. So if you have too much of the removal, what's the process called?
Colonic irrigation.
That one.
If you have a hose shoved up your arse, Williams, and
so basically you don't want to wash it all out. So if you wash it all out, so you need good bacteria. So you've got good bacteria, you've got bad bacteria.
You need good bacteria on your arse. This is
so like those yogurts you have, the good bacteria.
Yeah. Your arse is full of bacteria. Yeah.
But if you take too much out, so all they can do then, so you need that good bacteria in your bowels and your colon.
Hang on, just pause, listeners. This is where you got me. Go on, what happens? What? If you lose all that, what happens?
They actually have to, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But they actually, and I heard this on another podcast. Right, this is not. But they actually have to put someone else's poo in your bowel and your colon.
So they have to do reverse colonic irrigation.
Yeah, they have to put some, because you need some bacteria, some of this good bacteria there. And if you sucked it all out, you need to put someone else's poo up the bottom to give it that
But why somebody else's poo?
Like we eat yeast.
Yeah.
And that's like a good, it's a good thing. It makes bread. So you need that sort of stuff in your bowels to do the.
So this leads to so many questions, though, right? One, why are you getting it done in the first place? Like nobody needs to have that done. Surely, it's a weird thing, though, isn't it? You I mean, I don't know. Again, good listeners, this is where if you listen to episode 12,
the moral of the story is don't suck too much out of your bottom.
Yes, I think that's a safe. That is one of the rules of life that we can kind of recommend to our listeners. Don't suck too much out of your bottom.
Yeah.
But we talked in the last episode about how going to the pub is a lost art. Going to the pub without a mobile phone to look at the facts is a lost art. Because this is another one of those topics that would lead to hours of conversation. So one, why do you need that done in the first place? Two, if too much comes out, why do they need to use somebody else's to go back in? There's so many questions, Williams. So many questions.
Basically, bacteria is good, so you need some bacteria.
Yes, Dr. Williams, in his posh English accent, says you need some bacteria. Yes, don't go get the procedure done unless you are willing to suffer the consequences of the reverse. So, I mean, I was just intrigued, Williams. What was this podcast you heard this on, by the way? Just so we can point.
I don't remember. I don't remember actually.
Shit podcast.
Yeah. Shall we? Should we actually start the podcast?
We can do, yes, if you want to.
Have you got? How many first letters you got?
I've got a 3-in-1 special today, Williams. A 3-in-1 special.
3-in-1.
3-in-1 special, yeah. So one first look.
So should I go first? Then you can be the.
If you want to, yes.
In the bread type thing.
Have you got two? Have you?
I've got 2 little ones. Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
So I had a first look at Oppenheimer. So I went to.
Very good.
And I went to. So just to confirm, the fiance did have a couple Saturday mornings where I was looking after Logan before this, and then I had a day away with a couple of friends of mine. Went up to Plymouth, which has got an IMAX theatre.
Nice.
So yeah, went and saw Oppenheimer in IMAX.
Hang on, just think about you have friends other than myself who you go out and have fun.
I do, yeah, I do.
That hurts because
and we actually speak to each other face to face.
Oh, did you talk about colonic irrigation?
Yeah, but it was lovely. So we had obviously, it's lovely being a dad and everything, but I actually got to go away and watch a film in full.
Holy moly!
I actually had. I mean, I don't know if my fiance. I've told my fiance this, but I had a beer at 11 o'clock in the morning.
11 o'clock in the morning.
We went
Did
to.
You sleep by midday?
Well, we watched it. It was a daytime showing, but we went to literally. So we don't have Five Guys in Cornwall. But we crossed the border, went to this IMAX theatre, went to Five Guys, which I have, had a burger and chips, had a beer, and then IMAX had a huge thing of popcorn, had a big slushie, and watched the film in its full blown experience. But yeah, Oppenheimer. So it's about a what's the little blurb here? American theatrical physicist, and director of the Manhattan Project's Los Alamos Laboratory during World War II.
The nuclear bomb, ladies and gentlemen. The nuclear bomb.
He's often called the father of the atomic bomb. So it's basically a film about him and how that all kicked off, and by Christopher Nolan, who's a very good director. It was very good. So watched it in IMAX, and with Christopher Nolan films, he likes to put the music louder than the dialogue quite a bit.
Okay.
So in an IMAX theatre as well, as you can imagine, the sound is quite loud.
Yes.
So my eardrums were blown up. And especially when the atomic bomb's going off, the whole room was shaking.
Wow.
You wish you had sunglasses on. But yeah, had a first look at that.
It's terrifying,
it's very good. And I don't quite understand the phenomenon. There's a phenomenon. The Barbenheimer?
Yeah.
So the Barbie movie's been out at the same time as Oppenheimer.
They came out on the same day, didn't they?
Yeah. But Barbie smashed the records at the moment. But,
so, working in the world of marketing, the Barbie movie has been one of these hot topics that have been like, the marketing, Marvel, blah, blah. It's got loads of money though, so it was pretty cool when they both came out together. Again, like they were like, stand aside, Tom Cruise, we're here to save cinema. The Oppenheimer movie, I haven't seen it, but the whole, I'm fascinated by the atomic bomb. And then the Cold War. And there are some amazing videos online of the actual test. And then there are people who have they try and show you, well, obviously it's in a massive explosion, but for a sense of scale, here is what, for example, the Empire State Building would look like next to that explosion. Yeah. And I think it's very hard to grasp just the sheer scale of the destruction that the atom bomb created. Yeah. So to watch it in cinema, and I know you might be willing to talk about this, William, so I apologise if I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I saw a thing on how they made the effects of the atomic bomb in the movie because they didn't want to digitize it, they wanted it to be real.
Yeah, so he used no CGI.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it must be watching that film and knowing that they're getting to the actual test of Gadget and thinking, you're right, okay, so we're going to see this. They're gonna portray what happened during that. I mean, terrifying, really, because of what the atomic bomb has led to in terms of the world, and especially now, 2023, with they
can do a lot worse now.
Well, it's frightening, isn't it? You think they were building atomic bombs in 1945. It's now 2023. Austin Powers when they talk about like a frickin' Moen space laser and all that kind of stuff.
And
they probably have developed they probably have developed some weird space laser now. If they were doing atomic bombs in 1945, goodness knows what the scientists have come up with now.
Yeah.
So frightening stuff. You enjoyed the film,
and because one of the bits from the science aspect was because they weren't sure. Obviously, they'd never done it before, so they weren't sure what would happen. And one of the things was, again, my science vocab isn't great, but because they weren't too sure on the reaction level, so there was a next to zero chance where the reaction could have carried on, so there wasn't like any stop to it. It was just but it was next. They did all the maths and the science, and it ended up being next to zero.
Okay.
So it wasn't zero. It was next to zero. So there was that like tiny chance it could just blow up the whole world.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, which
America. Yeah, it's crazy, and like obviously so many different opinions on has the atomic bomb saved the world or is it destined the world to destroy itself? It's like it ended the war. But has it started the next war? I mean, it's just mad.
And that's the atomic bomb. So you've got the others, because obviously you've got all the best scientists available, because there's this other chap that was the hydro bomb. Was it the hydro bomb? I can't remember.
Hydrogen bomb, yeah.
The bigger bomb.
100 times bigger.
You basically need a small atomic bomb to trigger the hydrogen bomb.
It's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, but obviously their focus was, no, we just need to make the atomic bomb. Crazy. But it's something I need to see again because there's a lot of characters involved and being a Christopher Nolan film, it was sort of here, there, and everywhere, and but I definitely watch it again. But it was.
Were you just more happy to have the day off and just have a bit of a break?
I think so. Yeah.
Every dad needs that. Like, let's be honest. Any mom, any dad, you all need a bit of time to yourself.
And then, so I just remember the first things I told my fiance as I got home. But,
fiance.
Yeah, I had to. I don't know why I needed to confess, but I needed to confess and tell her that I saw a nipple the size of the house. So there's some nude scenes in there, and IMAX at the big screen. See, I don't know.
Was this Cillian Murphy's nipple or somebody else's nipple?
Well, both. It was Cillian Murphy's nipple, and I forgot her name.
Oh, what's her name? Pew Leaf?
Yeah. So that's her name. And Pew's definitely.
Pew, yeah. Pew Leaf, I think her name is, yes.
Yeah.
She's the when we in previous episodes we've talked about Black Widow.
But that's the only the film. There's a big thing about basically no CGI being used at all, and it's all just naturally filmed. And, well, as naturally as a film can be. But that bit was the CGI you saw in India and somewhere else. They CGI'd the nude scenes and basically put on a black dress.
Ah.
So apart from that,
in the Western world, you get to see
no CGI.
No CGI, and in America, there's CGI to dress on her.
No, in India.
Good. In India, I beg your pardon. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's a good use of CGI. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to Google Oppenheimer cast. Oppenheimer. So we're probably pronouncing these poor women's names completely wrong. So if we go to IMDb, what have we got? Florence Pugh. Pugh's her surname. What did I say? Pugh
Leffy or something?
Pugh. Okay. So, Oppenheimer review. Good film. You get to see Florence Pugh's nipple. If you watch it in IMAX, it's the size of a house. You also get to see Cillian Murphy's nipple. And Emily Blunt.
A lot of people do podcasts, like proper movie podcasts, and they're really popular. And there's lots of them, and they do proper in-depth reviews. And I don't think we're competing with them on this.
So let's
But if you've tuned in to listen to that sort of stuff, thank you, much appreciated. Anyways, what's your first look, Craig?
It's also related to nipples.
Was it? Oh gosh. Oh no! Do you really want to
know? I had my first look at a burlesque show, Williams.
Did you?
Insert kinky music. So this is a 3-in-1. So I'm gonna call this first look. Burlesque is where we're going because as we've discovered in episode 2, I think humans are with Wookiee erotica. Humans are perverts. So we'll get to the burlesque, but this is a 3-in-1 first look. So last weekend, a friend of mine came to see us in Belfast, and we had a big day out.
You have other friends?
So I do have other friends, just like you, Williams. I go to the cinema and we look at big nipples. So we went I had a friend over who has had. Okay, what was it? He had a tough year. He has genuinely had a tough year, and he come over for a bit of R&R, and I thought, right, let's show him a good time. So I planned a day out for us because 2 reasons. 1, I wanted to have fun, but 2, because when you get to our age, Williams, if a friend comes over to say hello, your first instinct is to go where?
The pub.
The pub. So if your friend arrives at 10:30 in the morning and your first instinct is to go to the pub, what happens by 2:00 in the afternoon?
You're a
little bit tipsy.
Bit tipsy? Yeah.
Bit tipsy. So you want to avoid that because you're like, well, I don't want to be
pubs you into 10:30 in the morning.
It's Northern Ireland, drinking some Guinness here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah.
So I planned a day out for me and my chum, and I thought, right, let's have a proper day out. So the first thing we did was we went first look at axe throwing. We went axe throwing,
which is the worst thing to do when you've had some beers, isn't it? Really?
Well, no, this was first thing in the morning, so we hadn't had any beers. We were sober. So we went axe throwing, which for anyone who has never done this before,
it
is exactly what it says on the tin. Throwing axes at a wall, hoping they stick in. Yeah. So it's a great activity. It's a great way to get rid of some.
But what's the health and safety? Because I'm a little bit clumsy.
Have you done this before?
No, but
okay.
If I presume you have to put an axe behind your head.
You do indeed.
How do you chop off your ear or something?
You just don't. You're aware. You're self-aware that all right, if I pull this over my ear, it's going to cut my ear off. So you just don't. You just don't. Yeah. And so the one we went to, I think there's only one of them in Belfast, but the people who ran it, they are brilliant. They've just got the right tone of instruction and looking after you and wanting you to do it well, paired with safety so you don't cut your nuts off.
Yeah.
And there was us there was me and my chum, and there was a stag do there. And we all had like our lane, and we were throwing these axes. And you do forward throws, you do backwards throws, you do special throws.
Gosh. Yeah.
And it's really good fun. So
Yeah.
we got our first look at it. My mate Will, so I picked him up from the airport, and I said, right, we're going to go do an activity. He didn't know what to expect, but he really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it was a good way to spend some time. So again, for anybody who wants to, who is axe throwing perfect for? I'd say it's a really good thing for anybody who wants to do something different, likes to, you really get to launch them as well. Like, you get a lot of kind of raw out of your system. Yeah. And it's very satisfying. When it lands and it goes chunk into the wood, that it is very, very satisfying.
Do you play like darts?
No. It's proper, like, so the way they did it, they have a target. And you have your throwing area, and your throwing area is marked, and there's kind of each line in the area is about, I don't know, maybe a foot apart. Yeah. So you get your range, which basically means you find out how many spins it takes for an axe to land the right way you want it. Yeah. And once you find your range, you're kind of flying. So you're just launching these axes, and they go poof, poof, poof into this big block of wood, and it's very satisfying. And when you land one, it's very good. So first look at axe throwing. For any ladies or gentlemen out there who want to go and burn off some testosterone, go axe throwing. It's great. Then after that, we did a bit of a tourist thing. We went to the Crumlin Road Gaol. So that's the first look at the Crumlin Road Gaol. Now, the Crumlin Road Gaol in Northern Ireland is it's a closed jail, and it's a tour you can do to go and see where during the Troubles, during the issues of what that went on in Northern Ireland, the prison itself housed, I can't remember the exact number, but let's just say a lot of people who were deemed not fit to be in society. And they turned it into a tourist attraction, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. And it's a brilliant place to go and spend an afternoon whilst. So it's a bit dark, because when you actually hear about some of the stuff that went on there, it's pretty grim. And they have an area so it's a prison where they used to give the death penalty. So when you were there, if you were deemed guilty and you were given the death penalty, you would be hung in the prison. So as part of this prison tour, they show you, or the way the gentleman phrased it to us, it was like, we're going to walk in the dead man's shoes and show you what happened on his last day, which is it's really twisted, but also it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So you go on this walk, and you're like, okay, so in the morning the prisoner was woken up. He knew that it was his last day on earth, but he didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And he gets his food, and they take him here, and they put him in this room, and he gets to see a priest or a vicar, and all this kind of stuff, and doesn't realise when you're in the room there's a bookcase in the room. And what they would do is they'd put this in the room to calm you down, but then when it was time to actually, right, you're going to get hung now, and move the bookcase. And like, okay. And behind the bookcase is the hangman's noose. Oh. And so you're in there all calm, and then like, right, it's time. And you think you're going to go for a walk or something. Nope. From being told it's time to actually have it in the room. Kick from it, it's 60 seconds.
Wow.
So you're calm. You're sitting in there. You're calm. You're like, oh, okay. What? There it is.
Jeez, yeah.
So they show you what it was like, and you don't know. Again, probably I should have said spoiler alert before this, but they take you through.
So I guess from the sort of humane point of view, they're limiting the amount of time you're
in shock. You're in shock, and then you're dead. Yeah. Yeah. So you're in this, like, you got 60 seconds, right? This is it. So you move the bookcase, show them the noose. As a human, you're going to shock. Flip me. Before you know it, you're dead. Like, there's no... You haven't kind of got the time to process. So you're sitting there in your bed. You've just had the last rites read to you. You're terrified. Think, okay, how is this going to happen? You don't realise that you are literally right next to the noose itself. So then when they move the bookshelf backwards and you realise there it is, flip me, you're in it before you know what's going on.
It's a good job they didn't fancy reading a book, like take a Harry Potter out of the shelf.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. So they put you in the cell where they used to be, and then they unveil the secret compartment that takes you through to where they were hung, and they show you it, and it's like it gets you in your soul. You're like, wow, and the whole tour is put together. I mean, it is dark. There's no denying. They kind of warn you beforehand. This is not like a happy tour. This is a tour that, this was what people did. This is what happened during the Troubles.
Actually happened too.
And you walk through the prison, and it's fascinating. So, first look at Crumlin Gaol. Anyone who is coming over to Northern Ireland and would like to hear, the exhibitions they have on as well, explaining the Troubles. So, the guy was with Will. He said, like a lot of English people, I don't really know much about the Troubles. I know this, I know that, but I don't really know what it is. There's so much knowledge to learn from there. And they've done such a good job of compacting the years and years of history and violence into snippets where you can be like, okay, I get an idea of what actually went on here. Cracking job. So the Crumlin Jail, fantastic. So axe throwing first, then the Crumlin Jail, and then in the evening, this is the sexy bit when
it's quite a violent day so far.
Axe throwing in jail, yeah. So then we calmed down we went to a place called the Cabaret, just called Cabaret, sorry. And we went and saw a variety show at the Cabaret. This variety show, which is well worth doing, again, for anybody coming to Northern Ireland, is you get a 2-course meal and you get a variety show. And it's set in this club where it's a bit like, kind of old 80s Chicago gangster club where you have tables and little lamps and come round to get booze and then they have a variety show. So the variety show, musicians, comedians, but then burlesque dancers as well. And I've never seen a burlesque show. So me, the wife, the good wife, and my friend, we've gone to this show. We put paired next to another table which was full of English people. And we had our food and the show starts. And burlesque, it's one of those weird things, Williams. I didn't really know what to expect. So do you know what burlesque is? Before I say to you, what is burlesque?
Tassels.
So, yes. So that is the stereotypical thing you think of when you think of burlesque. So I'm doing a bit of research about burlesque, Williams. Would you believe what you're thinking of the tassels is not what is called classic burlesque? What you're thinking of is a variation of American burlesque called, now I need to try and find it, but I think it's called neo-burlesque. Now, I did have a Wikipedia page about this, but I've lost it. But it's called neo-burlesque, which is more sexy, and it has the traditional feathers and women dancing with, and men can do it too, but usually it's women who are dancing pretty much in the nude apart from tassels and maybe like a clamshell covering their private parts. But I didn't really know what to expect because when I thought of burlesque, like you, I was like, tassels.
So you didn't see the neo burlesque?
No, we did. This was exactly what it was. It was neo-burlesque. But classic burlesque, like in music and in, traditional or old school art, it was... Wikipedia describes as a burlesque as a literary, dramatic, or musical work intended to cause laughter by caricaturing the manner or spirit of serious works by ludicrous treatment of their subjects. So it was comical, yeah. So it's only that it's evolved over time that it's now become this thing where it's like titillation. You're like, ooh la la. So watching a burlesque show, I didn't know what to expect. I wasn't sure how I would feel about the whole thing, but it was actually really quite interesting. There was we saw two burlesque shows, and they were the traditional tassels and big feathers. And I must admit, I quite enjoyed it. Not from like a point of view, just from the artistic expression that was being displayed. So, but also when you're watching it with your wife, like you, Williams, you kind of have to confess, Baba, I just saw a woman with some tassels on her pulls. And luckily for me, my wife said, yes, so did I. I'm sat next to you. But in your case, not so much. But no, I got my first experience of burlesque, and I could say it wasn't what I expected. Pleasantly surprised. If you ever get the opportunity to go and see burlesque, ladies and gentlemen, why not?
Give it a go.
Give it a go.
Final little first look for me. So I, this past month, have I've discovered Nick Cope. I don't know if you heard of Nick Cope, but we've started watching Nick Cope's Popcast. And Nick Cope's Popcast, I do end up calling him Nick Pope, the Newcastle goalkeeper, but it's Nick Cope Popcast. And apparently he's played at Glastonbury, Nick Cope. So he's a singer-songwriter who has a companion, Norman the Whippet. And he...
Sounds like something you call your penis, isn't it?
Norman the Whippet.
Oh, Norman the Whippet. Have it.
But each episode, it's only like a little tiny 10-minute episode, but he looks for ideas for his new Popcast song in his quirky caravan in a different location, and he takes inspiration from the surroundings, and he has help from the Popcasters, which are a team of young kids. And then he sits down and writes a unforgettable song. So he has a Popcast machine.
Okay.
To help broadcast his Popcast the nation, like we do our known pop podcasts. And then these kids phone in, the machine goes, and he goes, "Who could it be? Yeah? Who could it be? Who could be calling me? Who could it be?" And then you get this little kid that the phone's through, and they go, "Oh, what an idea!" And then so Norman, the Whippet, he presses. So he's got this idea, and they go, "Right, full power to the Popcast machine." Norman presses the play button, and then he just goes out into song.
Unbelievable! Is this a CBB thing?
I think so. Yeah, I think it is CBBS. Yeah.
Oh, gotta love CBBS. What absolute diamond!
But yeah, he does some good songs. So some of the ones I've heard, I've just done a quick sort of reverse. So this is a good one. So you've got the baby's done a poo. So it's the baby done a poo. The baby's done a poo. It's not a big surprise because that's what babies do. But this was not just your regular pebbly one. Oh no, something really bad just came out of his bum.
Classic.
And you have Ralph is the rusty robot. His batteries have run down. Life is not much fun now. Ralph is the rusty robot. His nuts and bolts have seized up. His batter bruised and beat up. It goes on.
Can I just intervene, William? Can I just say, listeners, the man's got a new baby. He's a little bit sleep deprived. Don't worry about him. These are the kind of things that have to entertain you.
These songs are lyrical genius, and they're really good. You need to listen to Nick Cope. He's been to Glastonbury. He's played at Glastonbury. He's an actual. I think he was actually part of a big band like a long time ago, and he's just like didn't quite make it, and then I think he's
found a niche.
It goes in. I'm a little lizard standing on a rock. Standing on a rock because the sand is too hot. The sand is too hot, so I'm standing on a rock. I'm a little lizard and I'm standing on a rock. What a song. That's a good one.
I mean, the rhythm that you've got, Williams, and the listeners again, another
big
on the curve.
I'm standing on a rock.
He's singing this, but his head is kind of moving left to right.
I'm a little lizard and I'm standing on a rock. Standing on a rock.
He's enjoying this far too much, listeners. He is.
It's me and Logan, and we're just these little songs, and we're just popping away. It's really good.
Well, I mean, why not as well? There's worse things you could be doing in real life.
There's one just in the middle of the forest. There lived a witch. The witch had a dragon, and the dragon's name was Keith. Lyrical
Keith's
genius.
a dragon.
Lyrical genius.
Absolutely.
So it was a lovely story. That's Nick Cope. Does some great songs. Listen to him. Ask Alexa, play Nick Cope.
Get him on Spotify.
Alexa, Playing it good.
The value of CBBS, Williams, as Slogan gets bigger, the value of your TV license, I was like, take my money. Because CBBS, so some of the programs of CBBS as well are genuinely pretty funny. So obviously the obvious ones like Hey Dougie. Like, as an adult, you can watch Hey Dougie. I think I may have watched it once or twice when Boyd went to bed. Yeah, that's it. Six. So you got the programs
because he's not really old enough yet. But Bluey, I do like Bluey. So when he's been round, we watched Bluey. So
there's some crackers on there. CBBS is brilliant. I mean, again, let's take some more time so they give us some money. CBBS.
How are we ending? This is the end of the season, Craig. End of the season.
What
is the massive cliffhanger before we reach season 2? Well, I guess it's who's this Forbes listed guest.
Well, who is the Forbes listed guest? That's right. Let's see if we can get her on for episode 1.
Who is the New York International Forbes listed guest that we're going to have on season 2?
I think, who knows what's coming, Williams? You just never know. But I think we should end it with you talking in French again. Because, that really amused me, to be honest. Have you just prematurely ejaculated, Williams?
Au revoir.
And I think on that note, ladies and gentlemen, au revoir. Arrivederci. Georgie, God bless you being married to this man.
Join us again in November